All right, Danny, I promised you we'll be talking about that incident at the start of the day. What's going on with England and their goalkeepers?
It's a really difficult situation. Looking ahead to the World Cup in Russia, Joe Hart was number one. I still think he probably is the best goalkeeper, the most experienced, but he's not playing. So Gareth Southgate has a policy of he wants people to be playing. Jack Butland is probably number two in line to that, but he hasn't got an awful lot of experience at international level. He's not in great form this season himself. He's conceded an awful lot of goals.
He's been out injured for a long time as
been
well,
out injured
trying
as
to get back.
So there's that to contend with, and we see a mistake like that today. If Joe Hart makes that mistake, the English media especially are all over that. It'll be all over the back pages. Got to be dropped, cannot be England's number one anymore. Yeah. Will they be saying that about Jack Butland tomorrow morning? Well, then you start to look at Jordan Pickford as the number probably 3 goalkeeper. Yeah. Young, no experience whatsoever, international level. I don't think he's ready to step in to that. So at the moment, there's a
Fraser Forster down at Southampton, he's not in the side at the moment.
So they have a real dilemma. They've got some good goalkeepers, but they're either out of form or they're not in the team. So I think Gareth's going to have a real big dilemma when it comes to picking England's number one.
Yeah, I guess from Gareth Southgate's point of view, the one good thing he has on his side is a little bit of time, and we all know how quickly things can change in football. You know, Stoke go unbeaten to the end of the season. Butland gets his form back, makes some great saves, looks really solid. You know, suddenly it's looking a bit better. Pickford at Everton, you know, Everton start to get a lot tighter, start to win a few more games even away from home. Suddenly Pickford's looking a good goalkeeper as well. So it can change really quickly.
I'll come to you, Danny, but starting off with you, Gary, who should start for England at the World Cup?
Well, the truth is we're still in late February, so you can't make that decision. You know, Gareth Southgate is the guy who will make that decision, and he hasn't made it and can't make it yet.
But at this point of time, which goalkeeper should start for you?
Well, number one, it has to be a goalkeeper who's playing. So that takes Hart out of it. It takes Fraser Forster out of it. Possibly Pickford.
If the squad was announced tomorrow, I would still go with Joe Hart. I know he's not played, but I think he's got the most experience. Goalkeepers work an awful lot more in training and work a lot harder in training than they ever do in a game. They make 4 or 5 saves maximum, really, unless they're really under pressure in a game. In training, they're making hundreds of saves. So Joe Hart will still be sharp, will still be... Match fitness for a goalkeeper is completely different for an outfield player. I don't think that comes into it. I still think Joe has the mentality. I still think he's got the most experience. Today, it would be Joe Hart, but that could change come May.
But no match practice.
Yeah.
Which is also a big thing. So... You know, hang on, let's spin a coin.
I say, what we're saying, we're going to put all these balls in a lottery and just pick one out. It'd be like drawing the FA Cup.
That's similar to trying to pick a manager for a team in the Premier League. Just one final question before we move on. Alan Pardew has come out and said that after that result, that loss, his job is still safe. He's not worried about his job. Is that...
Probably not, because you get a big payoff.
But is that the biggest problem right now for clubs like, you know, West Brom? No matter what you try and do, make changes, you're going to have an individual like this who, regardless of what happens to them, might leave the club when they get relegated.
It's always going to be a problem in the Premier League. People want results and they want them yesterday. It's always going to be difficult. They haven't had the bounce effect that normally a new manager brings in. Do you gamble, bring another manager in? No one's ever stayed up having 3 managers in a Premier League season. Yeah. It's a risk. Can Alan Pardew turn it around? You don't know.
Yeah. And something's happened at West Bromwich Albion this season that I don't ever recall happening, and that is that the owner of the club has just recently sacked the chairman and the chief executive of the club. And it was the chairman and the chief executive who appointed Alan Pardew. So presumably his main allies at the club, having gone, makes his position even more vulnerable. Now listen, I'm not for sacking managers. I don't think managers get enough time, generally speaking. But since Alan Pardew has gone in there, he has not been able to alter the trend that was there under Tony Pulis, which was a losing trend. It's continued. So they've had a transfer window. They've been able to tinker a little bit with some personnel coming in. It still hasn't worked. So for me, there is only one other thing that they can try, and that is a different head coach. So it's remove Alan Pardew, put somebody else in, or they stick with what they've got. I can't see it changing with what they've got.